Take out your spirals and open to page 1, numbered in the bottom right-hand corner. This video will take you through filling out the first portion of your spiral, pages 1, 3, and 4. Page 1 will show you the introductory standard, geometry, vocabulary, and notation. This is what a typical standard will look like, this page, and we're going to go through a sample scale. Level 1 for this scale is to know the 3 undefined terms of geometry. They are point, line, and plane. That is part of level 1 on this scale. The second part is to be able to look at a diagram and identify its parts using the correct vocabulary. Sorry that that's covered up a little bit. That word is vocabulary. Level 2 would be I can draw and label a figure to represent each of the undefined terms. And I can give a definition for and also draw and label a diagram for each of the vocabulary words found below. We're not going to get into that part today, but again, we're just going over what the scale would look like for this standard. Level 3, which was considered proficient, is that I can do level 1, I can do level 2, and I can also do level 3, which is I can name each of the vocabulary words found below. You can kind of see them in a box just to the lower left of this part of the page. One of the different ways using the correct notation. There's more than one way to name things, and you can do one of them. Then a level 4 would take that just a step further, and I can name them in more than one way. Also, I can read a description of a geometric figure that uses notation and correctly draw and label all features included. Now again, this video is just going to be working through the first part of level 1, which is the definitions. So we're going to turn the page. There's nothing on page 2, so we'll turn to page 3. We want to end up at the proficient level, but today we are just looking on the definition. So the first one, this is on page 4, the first one is already filled out for you. It says point. Point, the definition is a location in space that has no size. Tomorrow we're going to look at a sketch and talk about the different types of notation. The second word is line. This one you're going to have to fill out some parts for. Line is an undefined term. There we go, undefined term. So we're going to just describe it since it doesn't have a definition. It is a figure that is perfectly straight, has no thickness, and extends forever in 2 directions. Line segment is a part of a line. Sorry, let's get to that part. Sorry. A part of a line that begins at one point and ends at another. Okay, we'll talk about the names and notation tomorrow. Let's fill in the definition for ray. A ray is, let's get a picture up there, a part of a line that starts at, we're going to fill in this next blank, starts at one point and extends forever in one direction. Okay, and again, we'll talk a little bit more about the sketches and the names and the notation tomorrow. So just worry about filling out that definition part right now. So an angle is a figure formed by two rays with a common endpoint. A figure formed by two rays with a common endpoint. Okay, so this is the part we are worried about making sure we have filled out today. Plane is our next undefined term. When we draw it, we are going to draw it a little bit different than what we describe it, but that's because it's not possible to describe or draw in the way that it's described. So it's an undefined term that extends indefinitely in all directions along a flat surface and has no thickness. So we'll work on those drawings, labeling those and giving it names tomorrow. So now we're on page 5. Page 4. This starts with collinear. And again, we are just looking at filling out this definition portion. You will see the other ones pop up, but don't worry about filling those out. So collinear is a description of, so there's a picture of collinear, a set of 3 or more points which are contained by a single line, one line. They are on the same one line. The word co, if you are co-presidents, meaning you share the responsibilities of that presidency, these points share a common line, a single line. The next one is non-collinear. You're going to see a picture show up. Okay, so non-collinear is a description for a set of at least 3, could be 4, could be 5, could be 10, honestly, at least 3 points. And the opposite of they are is they are not contained by a single line. Okay, this one's a little bit confusing, this next one here, between. So between describes a point that lies on the line connecting 2 points, which has one of the points on each side of it. Basically, we need to define this because we're going to say A is between B and C, and we need you to be able to draw that. Like, what does that look like when we say it? So that part of it, again, we'll cover a little bit more tomorrow. And then distance. So distance, what does it look like when we ask for a distance? So we're asking you to measure when we ask for a distance from one point on a line to another. That's what we're asking for. And that seems obvious, but it's really the notation part of this one that's different. So when we get to the notation, it'll make a little bit more sense as to why it's a vocabulary word. And then the last two are coplanar and not coplanar. So they're kind of opposites of each other here. So coplanar is a description for a set of 4 or more points which are contained, seems very similar to collinear, contained by a single plane. And then non-coplanar is going to seem very similar to this as well. It just has that word not in it. So non-coplanar is a description for a set of at least 4 points which are not contained by a single plane. So collinear means they're on the same line. Non-collinear means they are not going to be contained on the same line. Coplanar means they are going to be contained on a single plane. Non-coplanar is not. But it does make a difference how many points there are, which is why we made sure to put that into the blanks. For coplanar, it needs to be 4 or more. Collinear needs to be 3 or more. Nice. That's your vocabulary for today. Tomorrow we will fill in the rest of the notes on pages 3 and 4.